Well, let's get some more analysis and we can speak to our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, in your opinion, what did President Biden achieve whilst he was there in Brussels?
I think you have to see it, Tom, in the context of the other summits that you mentioned as well. He came to the G7 in the UK, the NATO meeting in Brussels, and now this meeting with the EU leaders, with the aim in mind of affirming the alliance between the United States and those alliances with NATO, with the other G7 members, and with the European Union on the eve of what's going to be potentially a very important meeting with the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, and the message that may send to the Chinese leadership in turn. This was a reminder that what he refers to as an aberration, the 4 years of Donald Trump, when it appeared that those alliances were about to rupture, if not already suffering from a rupture, to a reaffirmation of the very close alliance between the United States' Western partners, including, of course, the European Union. A reminder that together the United States and the European Union make up 780 million people, account for 42% of global GDP and 42% of global trade. Those are enormous advantages which Joe Biden wants to stress and to make use of in his dealings in the future. First of all, tomorrow in Geneva with Vladimir Putin, and then with Xi Jinping, the leader of China, in the future as well. A reminder that together the United States and the European Union are much stronger than if they're bickering over the sort of trade disputes we've had in the past, not least that big dispute over subsidies that you referred to just now, Airbus and Boeing. Now resolved, it would seem, at least for 5 years, after 17 years of fighting over it. That's an enormous first step. There are other issues which have to be cleared up as well, tariffs that have been imposed off the back of that dispute between Boeing and Airbus, tariffs, for instance, on wine, on jeans, on motorbikes, things as ridiculous as you might think as biscuits, but they have all combined to contaminate the relationship. And what seems to be happening now is that Joe Biden is saying, look, we've got to put this behind us and unite, because we all face, the Western democracies, a genuine threat from China and Russia.
Yeah, and speaking of Russia, and as you mentioned, President Biden has now left Brussels. He's arrived in Geneva, where tomorrow, as we've been saying, he's holding that much-anticipated meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And of course, he's doing this as ties between Washington and Moscow are at their lowest ebb in years. Well, this is, of course, the first face-to-face encounter between the two men since President Biden took office. And Rob, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, that expectations of any major breakthroughs in Geneva tomorrow, pretty low?
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. So there are really no expectations that anything major in terms of an agreement is going to come out of this. But that doesn't mean that the exercise is a worthless one. This meeting, and more than anything else, is, I think, trying to gain an understanding of each other and of each other's countries, and how it will be possible in the future, despite very clear differences, to advance their two separate agendas. Joe Biden is going to make absolutely clear, as we've heard from him over the last few weeks, that he will be putting down red lines. He will be saying to Vladimir Putin, look, we want a good relationship with you. We're not here to have a fight with you. We're just telling you there are red lines, and that if you continue to cross them, and he'll be bearing in mind cyber attacks on the United States, human rights, particularly the meddling in Georgia and Ukraine, human rights inside Russia, with the case of Navalny obviously uppermost in his mind. These are the sort of red lines. If you want a good relationship with us, it's perfectly simple. Do not keep crossing those red lines. Whether or not he will meet a receptive audience remains to be seen. Vladimir Putin has his own agenda, and he knows that if it comes to a straight fight with the United States, Russia fails on every single account. So where can he find sufficient traction so that he can assert Russia's presence in the world. In the past, he has found it by making Russia a spoiler, a mischief maker. Joe Biden will have his work cut out to try to persuade Vladimir Putin that it's not necessary to go down that path. There are advantages for both countries in a solid, relatively stress-free relationship.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons, thank you so much.